The ground shook before I even saw the ships, and my coffee cup slipped right out of my hand and shattered on the floor of the observation deck. 3 dark shapes broke through the clouds above the old relay station, moving without sound, without fire, without any warning at all. I had heard stories about the Varen for 6 months, ever since they first appeared at the edge of our solar system, but nothing prepared me for the moment their shadows fell across the ground where I stood. My name is Daniel, and I was not a soldier. I was not a pilot. I was just a communications officer who happened to be standing near the door when Commander Grace Doyle turned around and looked straight at me. "They asked for someone to come down and speak with them," she said. "Just one person. No weapon, no armor." "Why me?" I asked, though my voice came out smaller than I wanted it to. "Because you're standing closest to the door," she said, and there was no time to argue. Every attempt at contact before this had ended the same way. Ships destroyed. Outposts silenced. Every general, every diplomat, every armed escort we sent had been answered with the same cold response. The Varen did not want strength shown to them. They wanted something else, something none of us understood yet, and it seemed I was about to find out what that was. The shuttle ride down took only minutes, but it felt like hours. I sat alone in the small cabin, my hands shaking, staring at the gray jumpsuit I wore, feeling the weight of having nothing to protect me. No shield, no blade, no plan except to walk forward and hope I did not fall. When the doors opened, the air outside was thick and dry, and dust rose around my boots as I stepped onto the open plain. Ahead of me stood the Varen envoy, taller than any building I had stood beside, its skin like polished stone, its eyes glowing in a pattern I could not read. Beside it stood 2 massive machines, silent and still, watching me the way a mountain watches a single traveler cross its base. "Human," the envoy said, its voice arriving through the small device clipped to my collar. "You arrive with nothing." "That's right," I said. "Nothing. Explain this." I did not have a script. Nobody had given me one. All I had was the truth, and so I gave it to them plainly. Every time someone from Earth met you before, they carried something, a weapon, a shield, a promise backed by force. You answered every one of them with silence and destruction. I don't have anything like that. I only have myself. The envoy's eyes shifted color, amber sliding into a deep violet, and the 2 great machines beside it leaned forward slightly, as if listening more closely. "We have ended many worlds who tried to prove strength through the weapons they carried," the envoy said. "None of them understood what we were looking for." "Then tell me," I said, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might be heard through the small device on my collar. "Tell me what you were looking for, and maybe I can show you instead of telling you." For a long moment, only wind moved between us, carrying dust across the empty plain. "Show me," the envoy said. I did not think. I only acted. I raised both arms out to my sides, palms open, chest bare, to whatever waited before me, standing there like a man with nothing left to hide and nothing left to lose. "This is what we look like when we mean something," I said. "Not our ships, not our weapons. This, a person standing in front of something that could end him, choosing to open his arms instead of closing his hands into fists." The envoy did not move, neither did the 2 towering machines beside it. I stood there, arms spread, feeling my muscles begin to ache, feeling sweat slide down the back of my neck despite the cold wind blowing across the plain. "You could still be lying," the envoy said. "Many creatures pretend surrender to gain advantage." "I'm not surrendering," I said. "I'm not pretending anything. If you wanted to end this right now, you already could. I couldn't stop you. I'm just choosing to stand here anyway, because I'd rather you see exactly what you're deciding to end, instead of guessing at it from a distance." The wind picked up, pulling at my sleeves, but I kept my arms wide, refusing to let them drop even as they began to shake from the effort. Many species posture with strength they do not have, the envoy said. None have offered weakness they could have hidden. That's because it isn't weakness, I said, my voice steady despite everything inside me. It's just honesty. I'd rather stand here with nothing and tell you the truth than stand here with a weapon and tell you a lie. The envoy took one long step forward, its shadow falling completely over me, swallowing the light around my feet. My legs wanted to move, wanted to run, but I held still, arms spread, breathing slow, waiting. Why does your kind fear us so greatly, yet still choose to stand before us unguarded? The envoy asked. Because fear doesn't have to control what we do, I said. I am afraid. I won't pretend otherwise. But being afraid and still choosing to stand here, arms open, telling you the truth, that means something different than simply being brave without any fear at all. Something shifted in the envoy's posture, a small tilt of its massive head, as if turning my words over in whatever mind lived behind those glowing eyes. 412 worlds met us with sharp things, it said. 412 worlds are gone. You are the first to meet us with open hands. Then maybe that's the answer you've been looking for all along, I said. Maybe the strength you're testing for was never about what a species can build to defend itself. Maybe it's about what a person is willing to stand in front of, without anything to defend himself at all. For the first time since the ships arrived, silence fell that did not feel like a countdown to disaster. It felt like a pause, like a breath being held on both sides, waiting to see what would happen next. Then, slowly, deliberately, the envoy raised both of its own limbs outward, mirroring the exact position I still held, palms opening toward the sky in a gesture that looked strange and unfamiliar on its massive frame, as though it were learning the motion for the very first time. We will carry this back to our convergence, the envoy said. Humanity's strength is not found in what it carries. It is found in what it is willing to stand before, without carrying anything at all. Behind the envoy, the two towering machines powered down, one after another, their lights dimming, their weight settling into stillness, like giants exhaling after holding their breath for far too long. I lowered my arms only after the envoy lowered its own, and the moment my hands fell to my sides, my knees nearly buckled beneath me. I forced myself to stay standing, forced my breathing to steady, forced myself to remain calm, even as relief flooded through my chest like warm water after a long, cold swim. You will not be harmed, the envoy said. Not today. Not by us. Thank you, I said, though the words felt too small for what had just happened. Do not thank us, the envoy said. Thank whatever taught you to stand this way, arms open, when every instinct in your body must have told you to run. I thought of every person back on the station, watching this moment unfold from cameras I could not see, holding their breath the same way I had been holding mine. I thought of Grace Doyle, standing at the tactical display, waiting to hear whether her choice to send me down here had ended in silence or in something else entirely. I think it was just refusing to let fear make the choice for me, I said. That's all it really was. The envoy studied me a moment longer, its eyes finally settling into a calm, steady gold, the same color I had seen shift and change throughout our entire conversation. Then perhaps fear is not the enemy we believed it to be in your kind, it said. Perhaps it is simply something you carry, the same way we carry our own uncertainties, and the true measure is not whether it exists, but what a person chooses to do while carrying it. The shuttle behind me powered on, its engines humming softly, ready to carry me back up to the station where everyone waited. I turned to look at the envoy one final time, before stepping back inside. Will you return? I asked. We will return, the envoy said, but not as we arrived. We will return to learn, not to judge. Your kind has shown us something none of the others ever did, and that alone is worth returning for. I nodded, unable to find any better words than the ones already spoken, and stepped backward into the shuttle, my legs finally allowing themselves to shake now that the moment had passed. The doors closed behind me, sealing away the dust and wind of that open plain, sealing away the envoy and its two silent machines, sealing away the fear that had gripped me from the very first shadow crossing the sky above the station. As the shuttle rose higher, I looked down at the plane below, watching the envoy grow smaller and smaller, until it disappeared entirely into the haze of dust kicked up by our departure. My hands were still trembling, my chest still tight, but underneath all of that, something else had settled quietly into place. A certainty that had not existed in me before I stepped off this shuttle the first time. We had faced something far stronger than ourselves, carrying nothing but the truth of who we were, and for the first time since their ships appeared in our sky, that truth had been enough. The station came into view above me, lights glowing steady against the darkness of space, and I closed my eyes for just a moment, letting the weight of everything that had happened settle over me like a blanket, warm and heavy, and entirely real. Whatever came next, whatever the Varen decided to do with what they had learned today, one thing remained certain in my mind as the shuttle docked and the doors opened to familiar faces rushing toward me. Strength had never been about what we carried into that meeting. It had only ever been about what we were willing to stand before, arms spread wide, with nothing to hide and everything to lose.